They called me Sita, which meant of silence, though I was never silent. My thoughts were loud. My hands spoke louder. I was born beneath the shadow of the sun god's temple. My mother, a concubine forgotten by time. My father, likely, a high priest who never claimed me. The palace scribes taught me numbers to count bricks. The overseers taught me pain to move them faster. And the architects, well, they never taught me. I taught myself. By 16, I could read the stars better than the astronomers. By 17, I could draw load-bearing arches in the sand with nothing but a bone and my will. The pharaoh's name echoed across the Nile like thunder. Karef the divine, son of Ra, voice of Maat, eternal master of the two lands. But I knew him differently. I knew him as the man who demanded the impossible, a pyramid to touch the heavens, a monument to outlast death. And I was the one chosen to shape it. Not openly, of course. A slave cannot be seen leading freemen. So I wore linen too fine for my kind and answered only to the high architect Ramenhotep, who paraded my blueprints as his own. He feared me. All of them did. I was too clever to beat, too valuable to kill. So they kept me close, like one keeps a dagger behind the curtain. But not everyone feared me. Nemet, daughter of Ramenhotep, saw in me something else. At first, curiosity, then rebellion, then something softer. Her fingers lingered when passing scrolls. Her eyes searched mine too long when others weren't looking. Love was forbidden. Of course it was. She was nobility, I was property. But the heart does not bow to castes. And one night, beneath the desert stars, when even the jackals dared not howl, she kissed me, and I knew I would die for her. Or worse, live with the weight of her loss. We met in the blue hour, when the Nile mist curled like incense and the guards dozed at their posts. She spoke of escape, of Nubia, of sailing south where no one knew us. But I couldn't. Not yet. Not after what I had discovered. Beneath the central chamber of the pyramid, a space only I could enter, there was an antechamber. Older than any record, carved in a script I recognized but couldn't place. Symbols not of gods, but stars. A map etched in gold. At first, I thought it was astronomy, but as I traced the lines again and again, I saw patterns, cycles, predictions, and warnings. Something was coming, or had come before, a celestial convergence, tied to the construction of the pyramid itself. The structure wasn't just a tomb, it was a seal, and it was weakening. I brought the symbols to an old priest who owed me his life. He trembled as he read them. He wept. This knowledge, he whispered, was buried for a reason. Then why build the pyramid over it? I asked. He looked at me with eyes gone hollow. Because Pharaoh knows. That night I couldn't sleep. Karef the divine, son of Ra, builder of monuments, was not a god fearing death. He was a man fearing release. The pyramid was not for his soul, it was a prison, and I was helping him rebuild its walls. I had to warn someone. But who would listen to a slave? Ramenhotep would never betray the court. Nehmet, I couldn't endanger her. And yet, her touch lingered like a promise on my skin. I made a choice. I returned to the chamber and carved a mark, my own symbol, hidden among the glyphs. A flaw in the design, slight but precise. When the time came, the seal would not hold. The stars would return, and with them, the truth. And perhaps, freedom. The next day, the guards took me at dawn. No trial, no words, just torches and ropes. They dragged me to Pharaoh's court, where the walls bled gold and the air tasted of myrrh. Karef sat upon his throne like a statue carved from obsidian, eyes black, voice colder. "You know too much, slave," he said. I bowed my head but did not tremble. "Then you should not have asked me to build your secrets," he laughed, a sound that chilled bone. "You will die in stone, Seta, buried beneath your own design." Nemet stood at his side, her eyes wide with terror. She had betrayed nothing, not with word, not with glance, but I saw her fingers twitch once, the way she did when she fought back tears. And I knew then, as they dragged me to the quarry, that she still loved me, and I still had a purpose. The pyramid would rise, but so would the truth, and I, Seda the Silent, would not be forgotten. The quarry was a wound in the earth, a place where the sun punished the forgotten and the gods turned their eyes away. They broke my hands with stone and bound my ankles with copper shackles. I became a ghost among men, a silhouette carrying rock upon rock, bleeding into the sand. But they did not realize that a broken hand cannot erase a brilliant mind. At night, when the overseers drank themselves into stupor and the guards huddled for warmth, I scratched lines into the rock with blood and bone, the flaw I had carved in the pyramid's design. Only I knew how to trigger it, how to bring it to collapse from within like the lungs of a dying god. And I waited. The stars were shifting again. The old priest had spoken of a date, the convergence, when the gods and stars would align just as they had in the Lost Age. It was only months away. If Karef truly feared what lay beneath the chamber, then he would surely increase the guard, build faster, push the workers beyond their limits. And when he did, he would make a mistake. One mistake was all I needed. Nemet visited once. Disguised in servant robes, face hidden beneath linen, she snuck into the quarry with a small satchel of herbs and bandages. Her touch was fire and salvation. She knelt before me, tears streaking the dust on her cheeks, and whispered, "I told them you were dead." I held her hand, thin as a reed but trembling with rebellion. "Then let me be dead," I said. "For now." She left that night with a small scroll hidden in her robes. Inside, the truth. The map beneath the pyramid, the seal, the warning. I had traced it with charcoal, trembling and fast, praying the vision would not fade from my memory. I told her to bring it to the priests of Heliopolis, the last temple not fully in Pharaoh's grasp. If they were brave, and if they still remembered the old truths, they would act. And they did. 3 weeks later, the high priest of Heliopolis stood in Pharaoh's court and accused him of sealing away the god's wrath, not preserving divine will. It was heresy, veiled in theology. But it was enough. Pharaoh ordered the temple burned, the priests slaughtered. Heliopolis turned to ash. And I was forgotten again. But a city does not burn without smoke, and smoke attracts winds. Rebellion stirred in the eastern provinces, whispers among the scribes and masons. They had all seen what I had seen, a pyramid built too quickly, a pharaoh growing erratic, guards increasing by the day, strange lights at night from the upper chamber. The people remembered the old legends of sky beasts, of gods cast down, of stars that punished kings. Karef's power began to crack, and in that crack I saw my chance. The foreman of the quarry was a brute, but greedy. I traded him a ruby I'd stolen years ago, hidden in the heel of my sandal. In return, he looked the other way. I escaped on the night of the blood moon, face wrapped in bandages, limping toward the desert like a jackal with a broken leg. I reached the construction site just before dawn. The pyramid towered above like a spear aimed at heaven. Its edges too perfect, its walls humming with unnatural resonance. The convergence had begun. I climbed alone, entering through the hidden shaft only I knew. Beneath the antechamber, the golden map still glowed faintly, alive with light from no torch. The flaw I had designed, subtle, beautiful, divine, rested beneath the capstone. A single strike at the right place, at the right time, would shift the entire internal structure, collapse the seal, free whatever Pharaoh had tried so hard to bury, or trap it forever. And there, in that sacred silence, I saw Nemet again. She had followed me, her face no longer hid behind linen. Her eyes were resolute. "You cannot," she said. "If the seal breaks—" "He built it to contain his fear," I said. "Not our gods, not our truth." "And what if it's both?" she asked. I touched her cheek, felt her heartbeat beneath her skin. "Then let truth choose its own form." She kissed me once more. Not as a noble, not as a rebel, as a woman who had loved me across chasms of class and law. Then I climbed. I reached the capstone as the stars aligned. the sky opening like a wound above me. I struck once, hard, true, my shattered hand screaming in defiance. The pyramid did not collapse. It sang. A vibration rippled through its core, a sound not of this world. Light poured from the seams like water, golden and endless. The chamber below cracked open, and from within, silence. No beast, no god, just knowledge. Symbols written in air, visions of the stars long gone, memories of empires before time, and a voice, not heard, but felt. You remember. I fell to my knees. Tears came unbidden. I saw now, Pharaoh had not imprisoned something evil. He had imprisoned our origin, a truth too vast, too ancient, and he had tried to rewrite us in stone and lie. Nemet helped me down. We fled as dawn broke, the pyramid now silent, but alive. We told no one. There was no need. Word spread without tongues. Pharaoh was found dead in his chamber a week later. No wound, no poison, just eyes wide with terror, staring at stars that had not moved. A new pharaoh took the throne. The pyramid was sealed, declared sacred, forbidden. And me? I vanished, into the desert, into legend. They say I died a builder, but I lived as a witness. My name was Sita, of silence. But my memory now sings.